Hello friends, welcome to Aravalli Geo Academy. First see this quote, learning never stop because life never stop evolving. So in this video we will discuss the next part of the earth and its atmosphere. Okay, we have already done the origin of atmosphere and composition of the present atmosphere. Okay, so in this video we will discuss about the carbon dioxide. Okay, uh, percentage and what is the effect of carbon dioxide, how carbon dioxide enter into atmosphere and how carbon dioxide remove from the atmosphere. So we already know carbon dioxide make up just 0.04% of the our atmosphere. Okay, concentration of the carbon dioxide is very low in the atmosphere. Okay, as compared to nitrogen and oxygen. Nitrogen is 78 and oxygen is 21%, but nitrogen concentration is only 0.04%. Okay, so CO2 enter through the vegetation decay. How CO2 enter in the atmosphere? Through the vegetation decay. Okay, see this image. Okay, listen actually my sentence carefully, because this one image very important. Okay, so focus here. There are two colors lines. Okay, this one are the blue lines as well as the red lines. Okay, the blue lines indicate how CO2 enter into the atmosphere. Okay, and red lines indicate how CO2 remove from the atmosphere. This is the balance between addition and removal of the CO2. Let's discuss one by one. So this is the village area, or this is the industrial area. Okay, some factories are there. So due to the fossil fuel combustion in these factories, CO2 is continuously adding in the atmosphere. Okay, due to the fossil fuel combustion, and this is the volcanic activity. Okay, due to the volcanic activity, CO2 adding in atmosphere. Okay, and see here, something is a forest fire is there. Okay, so due to the plant burning, CO2 adding continuously into the atmosphere, and this is the dissolving of the CO2. So due to the actually weathering of carbonate rock, CO2 also entering into the atmosphere. Okay, so how CO2 actually increasing? Through the process of fossil fuel combustion, through the volcanic activity, through the respiration. These are the animals. Okay, so due to respiration, or through the respiration, CO2 adding in the atmosphere. Okay, and dissolve of the CO2 is also adding the atmosphere uh, into atmosphere. CO2 adding in atmosphere. Okay, how CO2 remove in atmosphere? Through the process of photosynthesis. Okay, there are the some plants. Okay, so after the photosynthesis, CO2 is removing from atmosphere. Okay, as well as the chemical weathering. Okay, which chemical weathering? Chemical weathering of the silicate rock. Okay, chemical weathering of silicate rock also removing CO2 from the atmosphere. Remember, don't confuse with the carbonate weathering. Carbonate weathering actually adding CO2 into atmosphere, but silicate weathering removing CO2 from the atmosphere. Okay, now CO2 also dissolve in the ocean, because ocean is the largest reservoir of the CO2. So CO2 removing from this. Okay, now next one. Volcanic eruption actually release CO2 into atmosphere, or animal exhalation also adds CO2 into atmosphere, or burning of fossil fuel release CO2 into atmosphere. Deforestation also increase the CO2 level, because if the deforestation is mean removal of plant. If there is no plant, then there is no photosynthesis. It means CO2 is continuously increasing into atmosphere. Okay, plant remove CO2 via photosynthesis. Okay, CO2 is stored in the plant root, branches or leaf. Okay, where CO2 is stored in the plants, at the root or branches or leaves. Ran also removing CO2 through the chemical weathering of the rocks. Okay, or chemical weathering of the silicates rocks only. Okay, ocean is the largest reservoir of the CO2, because most of CO2 dissolve in the ocean. CO2 dissolve in the surface water and mix into the deeper layer through the actually density driven currents. Through density driven current, this CO2 actually supply in the deeper water also. Oceanic circulation help distribute CO2 throughout the depth. Okay, we will discuss this the ocean circulation later. Ocean store over the 50 times more CO2 than the atmosphere. Remember this point, okay? Ocean store 50 times greater as compared to atmosphere, okay? CO2, okay? Ocean having 50 times more CO2 as compared to atmosphere. CO2 concentration has increased by 30% since 1958. The data come from the Moana Law Observatory. Okay, remember this factual point. CO2 concentration has increased about the 30% since 1958, and CO2 entering in atmosphere faster as compared to removing. Okay, CO2 continuously adding due to the deforestation or fossil fuel burning, but actually removing of CO2 is very less. Okay. The main cause of the increasing CO2 is the fossil fuel burning, okay, as well as the deforestation, okay, as well as the burning of the trees or forest or parallel something. Dead trees no longer absorb CO2, okay, as well as there is no photosynthesis, so CO2 is continuously adding in the atmosphere or continuously increasing in atmosphere. Deforestation caused the 10 to 15% of the recent CO2 increase. This point is important. Okay, actually deforestation is responsible for 10 to 15% recent CO2 increasing. Okay, CO2 level are also measured using the ice core. Okay, ice cores. So remember this point. Okay, deforestation caused 10 to 15% of the recent CO2 increase. Okay, and we can also measure CO2 level using the ice core. Just we will discuss through the actually graph. In the Greenland or Antarctica, okay, uh, CO2 trap actually in bubbles form in the ice cores. Okay, so these bubbles show the pre-industrial CO2 level with about the 280 ppm. Remember this point. The bubbles show pre-industrial CO2 level were about the 280 ppm. Okay, this is the pre-industrial concentration of the CO2, but CO2 level remain stable for the 1,000 year before the industrial era. Okay, I will actually explain this line through the graph. Just wait. Since the early 18, CO2 level have risen by 45%. Remember this point also. Ice core show the current CO2 level are the highest in 3 million years. CO2 increasing at over 0.5% per year or about 2 ppm annually. Okay, remember this point कि CO2 increasing 0.5 per year percent per year or something 2 ppm annually. CO2 concentration is this is the present CO2 concentration 410 ppm 410 ppm the present CO2 concentration, and CO2 continuously annually increase 0.5% or 2 ppm annually. Okay, higher CO2 level lead the increased average global surface temperature because CO2 is the greenhouse gas. Increasing the CO2 greenhouse effect will increase, or due to this greenhouse temperature will also increase. Okay, CO2 level may be reach 500 ppm by mid century. Okay, this is the scientific guess. Okay, CO2 will increase around 500 ppm by mid century, and present concentration is 410 ppm. Major fossil fuel emission cut are needed to the prevent this rise. Okay, so major cause of the actually adding CO2 increasing CO2 is the fossil fuel burning or deforestation. If this will stop, then maybe CO2 concentration or CO2 increasing will reduce. Carbon dioxide, like water vapor, is a key greenhouse gas that trap the earth outgoing energy. So carbon dioxide is also a greenhouse gases like the water vapor. CO2 level increase, actually higher the CO2 level lead the increase average global surface temperature. Okay, now see this okay, experimental data. This is the data of the Mauna Loa observatory. Okay, focus on this part. Okay, this is the actually around the 1960 or 1958, and this is around 2019. Okay, so this data from 2098 to 2019. Okay, so CO2 is continuously increasing. Okay, CO2 is continuously increasing. Or remember why this line is the zigzag, because this is seasonal variation. In summer, plants are actually plant growth are dominant, so CO photosynthesis is dominant. It means CO2 removing from atmosphere is greater as compared to the winter season. So in winter season plant growth are less as compared to the summer, so CO2 is increasing because photosynthesis is less. But in summer CO2 is less because photosynthesis is dominant. So remember this zigzag line represent the seasonal variation. Okay, now see this one. So this is also CO2 concentration in ppm, but this data is actually this is the data of the ice core study. Okay, so this is the last 1,000-year data. Okay, before the industrial or before the 1800, the CO2 level is the stable. Okay, according to ice core, the CO2 level is the stable before the 1800. But after the 1800, CO2 level is actually suddenly rise due to the industries. Okay, and this blue line indicate this data is the Mauna Loa observatory, and this brown line indicate this data from ice core. Okay, now next, the average earth surface temperature has risen over the 1 degree centigrade in last 120 years. Okay, remember this point. The uh, actually 1 degree centigrade in the last 20-year temperature was increased. If CO2 level keep rising, Earth would warm by the additional 3 degree centigrade or more by the 2100 century. Okay, after ending of this century, temperature will rise 3 degree. Okay, or in 5.4 degree Fahrenheit. Besides CO2 and water vapor, greenhouse gases include methane, nitrous oxide, and CFC. So remember, okay, greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases are CO2, water vapor, methane, nitrous oxide, and CFC. Okay, this point is very important. This one is also very important, and this one is also important. So remember the factual points for the part B in CSIR-NET or SET exam. So thank you. This is all about today's lecture. Okay, this is all about CO2 for my side. Okay, now read this quote and try to share with your friends, those preparing for the CSIR-NET exams. Thank you.